Welcome back to the plot. It's been absolutely ages since we've caught up in here with all of the harvesting that we've had going on and the weekend vlogs and things like that. It's been a really busy time, October always is. So I thought it was high time that we had a catch up and I showed you what's going on in the October kitchen garden. Now, this is ahead of the weekend that we've got coming up, which is going to be in here for quite some time. And I thought, let's do a bit of a before and after. This video being the before, and then in a few weeks' time, we'll catch up with the after, because there is a lot to be getting on with. Talk briefly about the harvesting there. We've recently got all of the onions, all of the potatoes, and all of the winter squash. I called them pumpkins on the video because I thought people might be able to relate to them better than that, but I'm wondering if that was the right thing to do now. Anyway, there's still all of the beans to get. There's still a Jerusalem artichokes to get stuck into. I've just found one kohlrabi that I'd somehow left in the ground, so I've just brought that in after I'd harvested all of them. There's the celery to get, and then we're going to have a look at the winter brassicas. Oh, and there's also the red cabbage, one of the brassicas as well. It is looking in a bit of a sorry state, so you're going to have to bear with me. Are you ready to go, Rodney? Starting straight outside the greenhouse, we are on to the last of the Rock and Co French beans. These are really nice, but you can see they're starting to get very chocolate spotty. The leaves are done, and we're about at the end. There's a few nice ones around the back there. And this bed here, this had the outdoor tomatoes in it, which I was really thrilled with, and I still am to some degree, but it's definitely got blight now. And basically learning from this for me next year is to get these in earlier. So when you're looking at the books and things and hearing what people say, they say start your outdoor tomatoes later. Well, for the northeast of England where I am, that's not going to be true, because I need to start them earlier if anything, so that they're nice and big and robust and can get straight on with growing when they come out here. This bed has got nothing else in it. This had all of our carrots in it, so it just needs a good weed. And then we've got spinach and Swiss chard. There's a fire chard. If we come around here, walk this way around, a beautiful fire chard, nice pink. How pretty are they? Leaves. They're doing really, really well. Tree lilies are coming to an end, as we obviously knew they would. And stepping back here, we've got yarrow and different herbs in this bed as well. Last of the lemon verbena. I'm not sure if this overwinters outside, I'll have to check. But if you guys know, let me know in the comments, because I haven't grown this. It's the first year that we've had this outside anyway. I did have it inside last year, but because it was so young more than anything else. And then we've also got the last of the spinach. If you're new here, you can see this line. This used to be a fence. This is all just been done. Stephen's just put this up as one of the weekend projects recently. But we've left the spinach. It is starting to think about flowering, but absolutely fantastic. Some beautiful leaves, and that preserves really well. It stands up to quite a bit of cooking, that one does. And then over here we have got the strawberries. Some nice strawberries off these. These weren't covered, they weren't netted this year, and we did get some nice strawberries off them. But we've also got the last of the squash plants that need taking down. You can see they've been completely nipped by frost anyway, but thankfully we got those in recently, as you guys saw. And I'm laughing because I said on the video we didn't have any butternut squash. Apparently that wasn't true. We've got one, and then there's also one, where is it? Down here somewhere there. I'm guessing that they needed to be sown earlier. That was the one that we bought from the nursery, so obviously I got those in too late. So in this bed here, all of the vines, all of the pumpkin vines, and the same for this bed, everything there can come out now. And then the beans, the last of the beans, there's a few borlotti beans on here that you can see just poking through the colours. We'll get those and probably have the rest of those dried now. This bed had the baked potato squash in. What a mess it looks, but what a fantastic harvest we've had. Oh my goodness, I've just realised we missed something. Wowzers, look at that. How the heck did we miss that, Stephen? Oh my goodness, right. Definitely need to get that in. What variety is that then? Oh, fantastic. Only one that we've got of these, sweet meat. Very pleased. Right, that is off that plant, isn't it? Anyway, they'll all be the same in here. You might have been here when we planted this bed. Stephen put this pallet up because I put some squash in for it to trail up, but unfortunately they got eaten by the slugs the same day that I planted them out. So any squash that we've got in this bed, i.e. this one, is absolutely fantastic, because I expected 0 from this bed in the end. We do need to have a think about what to do with this bed next year, because it's it's been quite shaded. I mean, what looks now, there's absolutely beautiful autumn colours coming here. But this year, unfortunately, that provides quite a lot of shade, as well as these trees here, to this bed. The only other thing in there is the comfrey that we try and dig out every single year, and every single year it comes back. So it's not self-seeding or anything, it's just coming back from the roots, quite prolific. I've also just noticed a tiny little squash there. All right, okay, maybe we got 2 from this bed then. Then if we go out of this bed and straight in front is to the area that we put in earlier this year. These are the 3 new beds that you've seen us working on recently. This was the potato bed that we've just harvested last. This was also a potato bed, but we harvested first. And then this was an onion bed. I'm thinking about putting garlic back in there this year. I'm going to have a think when I go around. I've got another idea. I'll share that with you shortly. But if we go this way, we had the 2 squash beds, winter squash, the bean arch, rest in peace. That's going to be harvested this weekend. We have got some good Greek gigantes on here. That's what I was growing on this arch purposefully. So I'll get those harvested. Some of them are already dry now. They're absolutely huge beans if you've never seen those guys before. And I've got a mix of other bits and pieces in here as well. But learning from this year is definitely, well, first of all, to ask Stephen to put this up for me in future, because I tried to do this, which is why it fell down. And secondly, I'm not going to do as many beans as well. I tried to do climbing squash and beans in the beds, but unfortunately, you know, one's going to thrive and one's not, isn't it? So just look how cute these beans are. You can see every single one. Now these look, what variety was this? Jack Edwards, I think that's called. Got a few different types this year. Might not have been harvested at the right time, but I usually leave things for drying. And there's more borlotti on the end here. You see what beautiful colours. Absolutely fantastic. And then there's some that we're trying to leave to dry, but in this weather, it's just crazy. They're not borlotti, that's I think they're succotash. Quite a few beans on once you start getting your eye in. It looks a mess, which it is, but you can see there's quite a few there too. And if we head over here, interesting result on the leeks. These guys here haven't or hardly bolted. Ones in the middle have just bolted terribly. I mean, obviously they haven't been weeded thoroughly. These weeds have just flew up with all the rain that we've had. But the reality is they've just been left to their own devices. So it'll be interesting to make sure we get that variety at the back again, not this one in the middle. And then this one here is a younger variety. So obviously this weekend, thinking of jobs ahead, we're going to be getting in here and getting all of this weeded. We just left the sweet corn. That went in with a questionable footing, basically. The foundation, was it strong enough? So I did a video and said, should we even be putting this in here? And quite a few of you said, it's probably not going to be strong enough, but I think by the time I read those comments, I'd already gone full steam ahead, being me, and got them in. So there's actually some cobs on here, which I'll pick. In fact, let's pick one and we can have a look together. Let's get this one. I'm not going to do anything else. I think most people will have had theirs harvested by now. So we'll take that in the shed and have a look shortly. In here we've got our winter carrots, 2 varieties, and there's Eskimo, and I can't remember the name of the other one. When we come to harvest them together, I'll show you what they're like. But they're bursting out of that netting. This was the netting that was brand new, and then it's got all those holes in, which is really frustrating. The fig trees come on nicely this year. This didn't need support when we first put it in, but I can see that now needs a bit of support. So we'll add that to the jobs list. And then this was the last beetroot that was sown, and that's coming on quite nicely. But the first beetroot that was sown that we've been eating from, that struggled in, believe it or not, the heat, is this bed here, and there's absolutely tons left. Sowed them quite thickly. Let's see if we can get in somewhere. Can you see some really nice ones there? So what I'm going to do this weekend, as part of that list I was talking about, is get some of these harvested and preserved, and we'll continue eating them fresh. Haven't had any for a while actually, so I think we'll get those on the menu. And then this bed here, there's the Maxidor beans at the back, and at the front we're leaving where we can what's supposed to be the Coco de Pampol. I've got a second batch of haricot beans to put in if they don't come any good, leaving those for seed. And obviously the fruit trees. That's a cherry tree that we're going to get pruning. I've been trying to get to that, but between the weather and working, it's not happened yet. I'll just catch my breath. People do tell us that we talk very fast. That's a thing. Apparently you can slow us down on YouTube as well as speed us up. So if you struggle to understand how fast we talk, there you go. I was just going to say, last time I was out here with the gardening video with Stephen, the wind was quite bad and it was quite difficult to hear us over the wind, unfortunately. So I've got the microphone on now, which is just down here. So hopefully that's helping, but sometimes it can sound a little bit tinny. So bear with us if that's the case. We're learning as well. Anyway, we're moving into the old area here. I say old area because this was what came with the property. So if you've not been here before, there was already a veg plot when we moved in, and then we've extended it behind us and to the side of us. So we always refer to this as the old area. This is all fruit and veg. There's a few autumn raspberries left, clinging on, providing us with the last bits of breakfast. And then we've got the herb bed here in front of me, which is got the which the apple mint is in it, taking over again. So I've got a fantastic recipe, or it looks like a fantastic recipe, I haven't made it yet, for apple mint and apples. The apples are ready to pick, the cooking apples, to make like an apple mint jelly. So I'm looking forward to doing that. We'll hopefully get that done this weekend, and we'll share what that looks like. Crows are joining in. Hello boys, what have you been up to? Cheeky. So this is the mint. Prolific as always. Don't ever worry about killing that off. Mind you, I did manage to kill a traditional mint off once. I'm going to grab some rosemary and take that in, but this produces all winter as well, so I've got no concerns. Next to that is a little bit of oregano. Oh, and interestingly, if you come over here, well, interestingly for me, all of this here is chamomile, and not one bit of it flowered, and then the bits that had self-seeded flowered. So I'm wondering if I need to take that out for next year if it's not going to flower again, because obviously I don't want to be turning that much over to chamomile if it's not going to flower. Anyway, there's a lovely bay tree that's really, really coming on now that it's got its feet down. And then if we go over here, past the prolific apple mint and a little bit of lavender that's trying its best to survive, we've got the red cabbage. Some of them absolutely amazing, like this one. Probably get that harvested over the next week or so. There's a couple that are actually really good. This one seems to have tried to split into three, and then some of them have just been eaten by slugs and are just a little bit smaller, and the ones that have just perished for whatever reason, be it slugs or whatever else it might be. But there's some really good ones in here, to be fair. And then at the back here, what I have noticed is the black carlin peas that were drying on the plants seem to have been snaffled, I suspect, by what's either birds, but they've taken the shells as well, not just the peas themselves, or what's been eating the potatoes, which are in the bed next to me there. That's a bit frustrating. So the potatoes that we got out of the bed in front of us were out of what we call our nemesis bed. And as I said on that video, a lot of them had been attacked by mice or rats or whatever else it is. We don't actually see them out here. We can see them where the animal feeds are and things occasionally, but not in the plot. So I'm not 100% sure. I'm just assuming that that's the case. And I'm wondering, well, first of all, we don't know why they're just hanging about here and not venturing over there, which we don't want them to do. But we'd like to try and understand them a little bit so we can play them at their own game. We'll see. Anyway, there's still half a bed of potatoes there that you might have seen. We got half of that bed last weekend and we got rained off, and we hope to get the rest of those this weekend. Quite a lot of work to do, as you can gather, in the garden this weekend, including this bad boy here. So this is the celery, which I think I should be harvesting now. We have been eating from it, and I'm just looking at that some of the leaves are starting to turn, so I don't want to lose it. You can see some of them are starting to yellow a little bit, so I'm going to get those literally dug up. I'm wondering if that's the right thing to do. Hopefully it is, and we'll get that dehydrated or frozen. The stumps that are left in the ground here are where we got the kohlrabi from, and here where it's fresh is where I've just taken that random last one out. I'm not too sure how I missed that. The kale is coming back from its attack of the caterpillars, so that's doing really well. There's quite a few. All these plants here are different types of kale. There's a Portuguese, Russian, the usual, the standard black Nero. And then also, if we go around the other side in a moment, I'll show you the sprouts. But yeah, I'm really pleased that they've managed to come back to life after being attacked. But the plan is for this weekend, I'm going to clear out these bits here so that that's all completely free of plants. Get it nicely weeded and turned over. And then I'm going to be getting the onions in, because I'm thinking this time for next year, that I'm going to use this bed here, which is quite a big bed despite the artichokes taking over at the moment. You can understand surely by now why I get disappointed or why I get frustrated with them. They're absolutely massive and just like take over the full path. Anyway, at least we can eat them, get their own back on them. So yeah, I'm hoping to use all of this bed, which is quite a large bed, for all of the onions and the alliums next year. At the back there we had some beautiful sweet peas throughout the year, which are obviously done with now. But this bed here, which is the one we were just looking at, as I barge my way past these Jerusalem artichokes and over the dog, at the moment has got a lot of the winter brassicas in it, so it's going to be serving us well for the next few months at least. And the bed that I'm going to show you in just a moment, or a couple of the beds that I'll show you in just a moment, will see us well into next year. But first of all, let's have a look at those sprouts. Not only the sprouts, but these cauliflowers that we thought were done for have actually tried the hardest to grow quite nicely. So they might not be whiter than white, and that one's actually been caught by the frost, so that'll be good chicken food. But yeah, I'm pleased that they've at least they've come back and proven me wrong, because I thought these were gone when the caterpillars had completely demolished. Like their leaves look like this, look. You can't even see because it's just skeletons. So that'll do, that'll be good for a soup or something like that, and the others for chicken food. Nothing going to waste or compost. You can see there's a courgette there that we missed, that'll go into the compost, it's too far gone. And then curly kale next to it. So ideally we're just going to be getting in here, getting tidied up, but look. How fantastic are these sprouts? Given that all of the leaves look like this here, demolished. I think maybe it's because the tops are still on them that they survive so well. But these here, Portuguese kale, very pleased. Actually, I'm fibbing to you, I don't think that's the Portuguese. This is with the smoother round leaves. It all eats anyway, all eats the same, so absolutely thrilled with that. And then here we have the asparagus ferns. There was actually a ladybird on here just the other day. I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be out, but I didn't want to mess it around and move it and risk hurting it or disrupting whatever it was doing. So the strawberry bed, my goodness, look at the weeds in there. You know, clearly all the weeds need taken out, etc, etc. But to be honest, at the moment it's concentrating on harvesting. Weeding we've got months for. And that's what we're using this bed for, which is harvesting. You can see we've got a couple of things going to seed, but this is the purple sprouting broccoli, a few different varieties in here for next year. And then I've also got some more Swiss chard, which seems to have had something sitting in it. So I'm not sure if that was one of the neighbour's cats, but this purple sprouting broccoli is looking fantastic. And this will feed us hopefully during that hungry gap next year. And hopefully it'll withstand the storms and things that we get over the winter. You can see that the stalks that they're on do bend over, but they then try and grow the hardest to be vertical again after that. So I find just leaving them rather than staking them works a treat. I'm going to zoom in on this cabbage because it's absolutely amazing, but it's rather embarrassing when you zoom out because look, this is that pathway that we had sorted. It's just totally taken over and it's coming out onto the stones. So definitely need to get some membrane down there, which is what we did on this pathway, which is looking tons better. You can see the membrane has kept, the weeds are just coming up around the side. So that's fantastic. And I've just also noticed, wow, oh my giddy hand, look at the size of that bad boy. Now that is worthy of a Sunday dinner. Oh, and there's another one. Oh, wow, brilliant. Oh, that's made my day, that. It's just as well with you came out with me stew or two, because I wouldn't have known they were there otherwise. And we're going to be starting at that end and working upwards. Oh, fantastic. More food. So these beds that we've been looking at here, they're the winter brassicas again. So, oh, nearly dropped my sweet corn. So that will continue to feed us. The Savoy cabbages, which is the first one that I showed you there, absolutely, I love them. Absolutely love them. Along with the red cabbages, along with the Portuguese kale, the cauliflowers, and everything else that we've got going on here will hopefully continue to feed us until these guys over here, the purple sprouting broccoli, come to life next year. Worst case scenario, you can eat the leaves of the purple sprouting broccoli, but obviously we don't want to do too much of that. So there is a lot of weeding to be getting done, but as I say, we're coming into that time of year. Harvesting and preserving of the harvest is so much more important for us at the moment, and there's only so many hours in the day, as you guys I'm sure know and can understand and feel the same. So we're prioritising our tasks as always, and then we'll come in and do a big weed, but we will get plenty of weeding done this weekend because pretty much that's what we're going to be doing. There's some other small holding tasks that we need to be getting on with. I feel like I've had a glass of wine. I'm stumbling all over walking out of here. Honestly, I haven't yet. Yeah, it is Friday. So a lot to be getting on with, but October is just wonderful, isn't it? It's just absolutely fantastic time of year. Let's go and have a look at this and I'll show you what else I've got planned for the weekend. Right, can you see that? I think you can. That's a good idea, Tracy. Let's do a live opening. To be honest, I'm not too sure what to expect. Oh, check that out. Oh, look a mess, never mind. At least it'll tidy up easily. Oh, look at that. There we go. We know what will happen tonight. That. Fair enough, it's not all the way to the end, but that's beautiful, isn't it? Not as yellow, not as bright and intense as I'd expect, but absolutely fantastic. I bet that tastes lovely. I'm going to go and get another one then. Steve and I can have one each. You're going to have to forgive the angle. I've just tried to get the tripod set up and it hasn't worked, so I'm going to open these here and show you what we've got going on this weekend. Bit of a sneak peek. That smells amazing. Dun, dun, dun. Extra early white garlic, and I've got another load in the kitchen as well, which I'm going to be getting in. I'm going to go through varieties and things and I'll tell you what we've got. But a lot of people have already got their garlic in. I haven't had a chance to get mine in yet, so it's going in this weekend. I also said that I wasn't going to be doing broad beans, which of course I've changed my mind because you can't not get excited about putting seeds in. So I'm going to be doing some broad beans and also some overwintered peas and some other bits and pieces as well. So if you want to come along and see what I'm up to, I'll do a quick short video on those. The dog has just found something underneath the shed, so before that tries to escape and runs over my feet, I'm going to call it a day and say thank you for coming around the kitchen garden with me. This was a very spontaneous and quick tour, so thank you very much for coming around with me and having a look at all the jobs we've got to get done and the reality of an October kitchen garden when you're working full time and you're trying to keep everything else ticking over as well. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you very soon.